Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Market Immersion series here on ITV, a special series by MATRADE. Now, I've got the pleasure to be joined by Seh Meng, who's a Deputy Managing Director at Tagbon Manufacturing in Malaysia. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. I love the background. It's very bright and colourful.
Yep. It's a corporate colour.
Oh, is it really? Great, fantastic. Seh Meng, please tell us about Tagbon and what you're doing, what are the type of products you offer?
Sure. Tagbon is an adhesive manufacturer in Malaysia and Vietnam. We manufacture water-based adhesive, hot melt adhesive, as well as sealant products. So we started off about 25 years ago with water-based adhesive and mainly catering for woodworking segment during that time. So it was used to laminate wood together to make into chairs, into furnitures, into door frames, window frames. So those would be for the wood segments. And of course, water-based adhesive, you can also use in many other areas, as long as it allows the water base to absorb into the substrate, and then it allows the water to evaporate for the glue to dry off. So that will be water-based. In layman term, anything with water can be considered as water-based.
Right.
Okay. So subsequently, we moved to the production of hot melt with the effort of our R&D. So in hot melt adhesive, hot melt will be something that is 100% solid content without any water, without any solvent. Okay. Therefore, you will need to melt it in order to apply onto the substrate. Mm-hmm. One good example of hot melt would be the glue stick that we commonly see in the market, where we need to put in the glue gun and hit it, and then we melt it. That will be the glue stick. That will be the hot melt example. So hot melt products or hot melt adhesive is widely used in the packaging industry, where it is used to laminate cartons, used to stick straws onto the packet drink that we buy. And it is also used in labeling process for the mineral water. So that will be hot melt adhesive application. And of course, there are other applications like book binding, mattress. There are so many more.
Right.
The other one will be sealant. That's our another product. Sealant product will be mainly used in the building and construction industry, where we can normally see in the building construction, where they actually use to seal the gaps. It is also used to seal windows. It is also used to stick a mirror onto the walls. So those will be sealant application. Yep. So in year 2018, Tagbon actually went listed in the main board of Bursa Malaysia. Yep. That will be a very brief of Tagbon's introduction.
No, fantastic. No, I can see the diverse range of products. It's so many applications. So you started off with the woodworking sector, then you've expanded into that construction sector, and even with the hot glue, it sounds like you can do everything from packaging to food and bev. So it's a very diverse range of applications.
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. Now, with those type of applications and diversity, what are the current export markets that you've already achieved success in with Tagbon?
Okay. At this moment, Tagbon is doing about 80% export sales from the perspective of Malaysia. So the countries that we export to will be countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Indonesia. It's all mainly in the Asian market. At this moment, we supply to about 15 countries, and we are still adding onto our list. Okay. Yeah. So who will be those typical customer of Tagbon? Or in terms of application, perhaps I can summarize into 7 different industries.
Please.
The largest industry in Tagbon will be woodworking segment, which I have just explained earlier. The second largest will be paper and packaging. Where in paper and packaging industry, there are a lot of different applications. For example, in the paper industry, most of the toilet tissue roll that we buy, there's a paper core in it that hold the tissue. So the paper core, in fact, it is using adhesive to apply onto the paper, and you roll it and laminate into a paper core. So that will be in the paper industry. And of course, paper bags would use adhesive to laminate as well. In the packaging industry, like I just explained earlier, carton application to seal the cartons, straw application. You can also use it for can labeling to stick labels onto the can. and even bottle labelings in the brewery industry, where they apply glue onto the label and it will stick on the glass bottle. So those are a very niche market where you cannot buy the adhesive anywhere in the in the DIY shop.
Yeah.
It is something very technical where we need to supply to only industry. Okay, and then we have the third segment will be medical and hygiene. Those will be in the diapers and sanitary napkin application, because diapers and sanitary napkins, in fact, the whole sheet of diapers and sanitary napkins would use glue, would use adhesive. Next to it will be automotive industry, and we are supplying to building and construction adhesive. We supply cigarette adhesive, we supply mattress adhesive. So those will be the 7 industry that we are currently supplying.
Wow, yeah, it's even more diverse than we thought initially. So some great applications, and it sounds like you've got some great R&D within the business as well. So you're obviously continuing to learn from one industry sector and apply that knowledge and expertise to other industry sectors as well.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. Seh Meng, what about the Australian market? Are you currently doing any exports to Australia? And if not, why are you so excited about the Australian market as part of this mission?
At this moment, we are not supplying to Australian market. So it is a virgin market to Tagbon. And am I keen to enter Australian market? The answer is yes. There are 2 different perspectives. From the personal perspective, I used to study in Australia. So I'm always keen and excited to go back to Australia.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the business perspective, I think that's the key reason. Because I always think that Australia has a higher requirement in terms of quality and consistency demand or requirements. And this is one of the value that we can bring to Australian through our adhesive technology. Let me give you an example. A brewery factory would need to use those adhesive where the requirements will be 14 days, or some of them may have even higher requirements of ice water resistant. That would mean that in a very high speed application where they stick label onto bottles, after the bottles dry off, they will need to go through a different testing, and one of it will be ice water resistant, and a lot of glue is not able to pass the ice water resistant test. Now, after ice water resistant test, for example, of 14 days, and then they will need to take this bottle for recycle test. That means they will need to wash off the label. And to clean off the labels, it needs to be cleaned off within minutes. So within 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the process. So this is something very technical. And I believe Australian has this demand as well, or this requirement, where we think we can actually provide a solution to this kind of requirements. So this is one of the reasons why we think Australia is a good market, because our positioning actually match the requirements of Australian market.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've done a case study that's close to most Australians' heart when it comes to a brewery and application of labels. So it's a very smart case study, sorry. And
Yep.
I think that you're right. There's a lot of not just breweries and food and beverage processors here in Australia, but also the construction industry is a major industry. So for the sealants division, then there's a lot of packaging, there's a lot of paper and pulp operations as well that they do processing around here. So I'm sure that there'll be a number of companies watching this episode, hearing all those diverse applications. I'd love to get in touch. How do you go about identifying who the right partners are in Australia? Who are you hoping that you can connect with via this episode and via the mission?
Okay. We would like to get a distributor in Australia, if possible, who has relevant experience in the industry. So if they are not experienced in the adhesive industry, so likewise, we can also get companies who serve the same group of customer, because at least they would understand the requirements of the customer beforehand, right? So those can be a potential business partner who we can work with. There's no specific criteria per se at this moment until we speak and find out more on each other.
Yeah.
Well, apart from chemistry of both parties, I think it is also very important for companies to have mutual understanding and values in the ways of doing things. So it would be great if we can find people or companies to start having conversation with us in Australia.
Yeah, fantastic, Seh Meng. I like what you said about the values and the way the communication style and the chemistry. It's so important to have a successful long-term business partnership, because it really is, your representation here in the market, and they need to uphold your values and your brand integrity as well. So it's an important message. I think that it sounds like you're really looking for a B2B type partnership. You're not really going to B2C type solutions. It's more about industrial type applications.
Yes, correct. We are looking more to B2B because for ourselves, we are B2B. We are not so much of a B2C.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's much more than I thought about when I read the brief. You've got so many great applications, and as I said earlier, it sounds like it's always a great opportunity with the type of products you're innovating all the time.
Yep.
Finally, how's the best way? I know that MATRADE will definitely be able to facilitate introductions, but in addition to MATRADE, what's the other way that viewers of this episode can get in touch and look at the whole range of applications that you might be able to offer?
Okay. You can go to Tagbon website, Tagbon's website, www.tagbond.com.my. So MY stands for Malaysia.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have any question or if you would like to get in touch, of course, you can also contact MATRADE. And for more information, you can also go to YouTube, where you can search on Tagbon's company profile, our corporate video, our application video. There are so many videos about Tagbon in the YouTube site as well. Yep.
Great. Well, there's some great applications, and I'm sure many viewers, as I said, will be really keen to talk to you. So thanks so much, Seh Meng. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today, and best of luck with your growth in the Australian market. And I'm sure you do very well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care, stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
So you've just heard from Seh Meng Lee, who is the Deputy Managing Director at Tagbon Industries, Tagbon Manufacturing, I should say, in Malaysia. So they've got a huge, diverse range of applications and products that, there's many sectors that they can cover. If you're a company who's interested to be one of their distributors or representatives, get in touch, and I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. Stick around after the break. We're going to be talking to Azimac Industries about some of their aluminium extrusions. So we'll see you very soon.